Hello, everyone. I hope you're all having a wonderful morning. It's Akiziel here, and today I'll be reacting to the Avatar of Khaine with PancreasNoWork 5-minute lore episode 36. Gotta say, congratulations to Old Man on the collab. Oh, and you guys should definitely check out both PancreasNoWork and Old Man's content. They're both great. It, I've enjoyed it watching both for a while now. I like how PancreasNoWork tends to come up with things that people usually don't really think of for his lower videos when he talks about certain things. Like his one the other day about the about the Imperium being closer to the Skaven from fantasy than to the Empire, given, Imperial Guards, a Horde army, and other things. But anyway, a link to the original video will be in the description below. And without further ado, let's get into it.
General Medicaid warning. The views expressed in 5-ish-minute lore, the lore delivered in rants, are sanctioned by their scholar Progenium as excess rageous. Prolonged exposure can result in loss of IQ, high blood pressure, random outbursts, and blunt force trauma to the skull, resulting in unconsciousness. Please consult your local physician for more information.
Yes. Never know what you just find lying about. A hair here, a bit of blood there. It's all rather easy when it comes down to it. I see it's about the transmit.
Fabius Bile?
What's the topic this time? Oh yes, the Avatar of Khaine, one of the most threatening creations to ever step foot on the battleground. A titan of fire and hate that personifies the rage of the entire Eldari species. A living embodiment of a war god that encapsulates the very essence of that phrase.
Is what it should be, but the Avatar of Khaine ends up being one of 40K's biggest punching bags instead.
Failure.
War Pugs, we have to talk about one of the most terrifying things in the entirety of this already dangerous universe, and it's one of the last stops for the Eldari, who only unleash this being on the battlefield in times when victory is not only needed, but outright critical to the future of the species. In the heart of every craft world sits a shrine to a war god so powerful, it makes the very universe quake when it rises from its near molten iron throne. In this shrine rests the psychic remnant of the bloody-handed god of the Eldari, and whenever this situation is called for, a situation so dire it is called for, a warrior of unmatched skill will be summoned. Only those fully devoted to this war god, unable to leave the call of battle and bloodshed. Only these warriors, so dedicated to the art of war, called Exarchs, can be a true vessel for this war god, and they are viewed with despair by the Eldar, for they are truly lost to their own people. When one of these warriors...
For those who don't know, by the way, the Exarchs are those Eldar who are unable to change paths. The short version is the Eldar have a path system to make sure that people don't get bored and degenerate into decadence, like what caused the fall of the Empire. Or every time someone has mastered something, such as, say, you mastered the path of the Ranger, for example, you go off, start on a new path, become, I don't know, say a Banshee, or a Warp Spider, or a Dark Reaper, or something else. And they do this to keep themselves occupied and always have new and stimulating things to do. There are people who get so stuck on one path they cannot transition, and they just dedicate themselves fully to it. And those are the Exarchs.
is summoned forth to answer the needs of the Eldari. They do it wholeheartedly, sacrificing themselves to be ritually scarred and stripped of their armor, even being stripped of the spirit stones which safeguard their souls. This Exarch is now called the Young King, and he will step forward into the shrine of their deity, and within a few moments the doors will open, and the living avatar of a war guard will stalk to battle, empowered and wrathful, a walking juggernaut of fire and molten iron, rage and absolute martial power. fellas. Today we speak about the Avatar of Khaine, the incarnation of Khaine, the god of murder and war to the Eldari, and to those other species who have adopted the Eldari pantheon. For the Exarch who is sacrificed, it is an honor unparalleled to become the avatar of a living god, and once this towering figure enters the battlefield, wielding the massive spear called the Howling Death, or our great sword known as the Wailing Doom, which screams and shrieks as it kills, the days of the enemies of the Eldari are numbered. Rest assured, the moment you see this towering figure enter the battlefield, the wrath of an entire species itself has arrived. And then it promptly gets its shit rocked. Thanks, Games Workshop. Thank you for taking literally one of the most awesome concepts and making him literally Worf from Star Trek without any other character development, addiction to prune juice, or dating life. Well, dating life really isn't fair considering how much this thing gets pounded. At this point, when the Avatar of Khaine shows up in any book, you can automatically tell who's getting a new plastic model because they are going to be the ones stomping a war god into the turf.
Yeah, it's about like that, to be honest.
An Eldar? Knife Eater? You mind telling me how you got on my ship?
I'm a Farseer. I do that shit. I'm here now. Put the bolter away. I sensed a future timeline. I'm here to make sure it pans out.
That explains literally nothing.
Just roll with it.
And you're smoking a cigarette?
Just roll with it.
That's not a cigarette.
I just rolled it.
Things like that are why we have Slanesh.
And statements like that are why your emperor is a paraplegic.
Touché, why are you here?
You're talking about the Avatar of Khaine. I think I know a little bit about that, Monkai. Besides, you've had a Necron Lord, a traitor Primarch, Aramin of the Thousand Suns, and a Magpie on this little broadcast. To be honest with you, if you didn't have one of the Eldari on here soon, I was gonna feel cheated.
Well, fine then. Should I just call you the Farseer, or do you have a name?
Monkai, we both know if I told you my name, you'd butcher it.
Try me.
Fine then. Insulanius.
Insolent.
Don't even try it. I've already seen in every timeline where you call me Insulatio, and I'm not in the mood.
Farseer it is.
So speaking of she who thirsts, when my people went through the fall, it was generally just a shit day. Most of the population of the Eldar.
You know, She Who Thirsts is a very fitting name, and not just because Slanesh thirsts for the Eldar souls.
Dari Empire wiped out, your Imperium started conquering everything and shooting everyone for breathing, and all but 3 of the Eldari Pantheon got wiped out by the Lord of Excess. In fact, the only members of my species that survived were those of us in the craft worlds, the ones who hid in the webway, the clowns in the form of the Harlequins, and the hippies among us. You know, the Exodites.
Mind explaining how you know what a hippie is?
Oh, in my explorations into the past and future, I became aware of something. Anyhow, our Pantheon got it just as bad. In fact, there were only 3 survivors. Isha, who even now is chained up in Nurgle's garden, Kegarak, enough said, and of course, Kayla Mencha Khaine.
Turns out that just like Nurgle wanted Aisha, someone else wanted Khaine.
Yep, just when Khaine was getting bricked by the new Chaos Hooker God, Khorne showed up and welcomed the new baby boy She Who Thirsts in the universe by slapping the hell out of him. The 2 Chaos Gods fought over Khaine, primarily because the domains that Khaine represents for the Eldar are Khorne's by any other metric. It didn't go well. Kayla Mencha Khaine was forced out of the warp and into real space.
This wasn't an escape. The second the Eldari war god entered real space, the essence of his form came apart at the seams, and he wound up blasting into pieces.
Eventually, each piece of Khaine found its way into a Craft World Infinity Circuit. It's a good thing, too. I don't want to know what would happen if Drukhari got their hands on one of them.
We both know what they would do.
Well...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Drukhari would just go, oh hey, hot wax not enough for you? How about molten metal?
They fuck it.
The only good side, if there is a good side, is that we have the ability to create the avatars of Khaine, standing at over twice the height of a space marine. It's a living juggernaut of molten armor and anger, there to attack our enemies and save the day.
Now you take this backstory and hear all of that, but what winds up happening is Games Workshop treats this awesome thing like War from Star Trek. Basically, they show you a character that is supposed to be ridiculously strong and good at fighting. This character isn't supposed to lose or be taken lightly by any way, shape, form, or metric. Everything about this character is shown to be highly capable, incredibly strong, and is undeniably respectable to any opponent. It sets up a character that can be turned to at any time to attack or defend, a protector, a guardian.
Then you promptly have someone show up and slap it around.
Yeah, wait, you know about Star Trek?
Oh, I know a lot more than that.
How?
I'm a farseer, just roll with it.
The Eldar have been around for quite some time. They probably actually may have even, before the fall, been tuning into human television broadcasts just for funsies, for all we know.
Okay.
Really, anytime a craft world summons an avatar of Khaine, there should be an alarm in the shrine just to let us know that the reason for summoning the avatar isn't being written about by GW. Because if GW is writing about it, well, the avatar is gonna show up, be scary, and then get slapped around by whoever needs to look good to either sell models or just because it's the Space Marines.
How about some examples of this garbage? One of the worst things ever written was the 5th edition Codex, where Matt Ward literally turned the Ultramarines into the Ultramarine Sioux. One particular thing in this Codex of Calamity was when Marnius Calgar ran up on an avatar of Khaine and Falcon punched his torso into the next dimension. Calgar literally blew the avatar of Khaine's back out and killed it instantly.
I cast fist!
Saitama can eat his damned heart out. There have been cultists that lasted longer in a fight than the Avatar did. When High Fleet Kraken attacked the craft world Iliaden...
This is not fucking canon.
Oh, it really is. An avatar of Khaine decided he would challenge the Hive Tyrant leading the Zerg to a duel. The Hive Tyrant took one look at it, turned its head to the side all confused like, then promptly had the avatar trampled by a dozen Carnifexes. Basically, this avatar did the equivalent of stepping into a nest of starving lions and challenged the Pride Leader to a Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel, and then promptly got mauled. I bet good money if the avatar had been wearing blue and a toilet seat on his shoulder when the 5th edition Codex came out, he would have gotten the one-on-one because Matt Ward. But the avatar of Khaine just changed his name to Fire and got promptly stomped out. Apparently, the Hive Fleet was Smokey the Bear. Another fine example of...
Which, by the way, considering that the avatar of Khaine is made of molten metal and, its sword, molten, superheated metal swords, you'd think it'd be a lot more effective against Tyranids, given that fire is pretty effective against them.
Literature gone to the dogs was with Uthway's avatar got ran over and deleted from life by an orc battle wagon, and even though I can't believe I just said that, it actually happened. I mean, is that the best we can do for a fucking war god in the lore? Just have him run the hell over by a deuce and a quarter fresh out of a machine shop driven by the fucking Lollipop Guild from the Wizard of Oz? Who writes this shit?
Lollipop Guild. But yeah, that is a lot of disrespect to the avatar of Khaine that they basically just turned it into roadkill.
It's always stunning to me how some of this is written up, frankly, because the avatar is basically an animated iron statue, which makes some of this not only insulting, but breaks every rule of common sense.
Which brings me along finally to the one that got infested by a Gene Stealer Primarch.
I need this bit of writing explained in writing.
Just roll with it.
No.
The reasoning as to how a metal statue gets infected by a Gene Stealer is nowhere. Basically, we're supposed to believe that the Avatar was summoned using a Gene Stealer hybrid, but I'm not buying that. The variety on displays and the ways the Avatars get clapped is only exceeded by Baskin-Robbins or Snapples. No rules apply here, not even in the fucking sky. Oh, but I got one better.
Please, no.
Hey, Farseer, how about the time an Avatar of Khaine got possessed by a Keeper of Secrets?
Son of a chewing monster.
Greetings, Warbucks. Tech Priest Invasion here with a special announcement. We have a word from a sponsor this Voxcast should have. Keeps. Are you a balding man who has to wear a hat every Voxcast is to not blind your audience? Have you considered attaching LEDs to your skull so that you can light up a stadium? Have you considered using turtle wax to shine your head so people can see what you're thinking? Do you look like Ferris Manus's older, uglier, balding brother? Well, have a look at the Commissar. Do you really want this to be your future? With that being said, Keeps. Keeps. As in maybe the Commissar should keep his attention on his Voxcast and not what I do with my spare time.
Ah, yes, Phasian's Revenge.
The lusty Armageddon toaster is a work of pure art. You ass!
With a goddamn pig.
I never thought I'd agree with a knife here. A lot of truth in that statement. Painful words, but words that we all need to hear and understand.
I mean, it just gets flat out ridiculous. It's an animated statue made of molten metal. It's not made of flesh and bones. It doesn't breathe. It doesn't have a heartbeat. It's a walking assembly of rage and anger made of iron that is the avatar of a war god. So I need it explained to me how it can be possessed by a demon or infected by a gene stealer, because that just sounds utterly stupid.
Or when it gets choked out by a Primarch.
Ah, yes, that. The time Eldrad brought an avatar to a picnic.
Alright, so there are a myriad of reasons why
When he says picnic, I assume it's when, given the context, that it's when Eldrad attempted diplomacy with Fulgrim. And I say attempted because, well, yeah. I'm pretty sure Eldrad had rolled a 1 on the speech check for that one.
Farseer Eldrad Uthway makes me want to put my head through a wood chipper, but his meeting on Fulgrim was so bag-on-head stupid, it's one of the key reasons I can't respect him. After figuring out that Fulgrim was in bed with Slaanesh both figuratively and quite soon literally, he flipped the table and summoned the Avatar in to kill everyone there. It was there, on a maiden world, where Fulgrim strangled an Avatar of Khaine, and I lost what sanity I had. It took less than a page. 1 page! Now you could say something to the effect that fighting in melee combat with symbolism attached is known to do a lot more damage to warp beings. And with that being said, a Slaanesh-influenced Primarch choking an Eldar war god made perfect sense. But you're still choking a statue! These examples don't even cover the myriad
Choking a molten metal statue, by the way.
of other ways avatars of Khaine have walked into a fight with their balls being carried in on a wheelbarrow and promptly got slapped around by somebody GW was trying to make threatening. Literal chapters on chapters will be spent to build up an avatar just to have it lose in the most unceremonious way possible. The bloody-handed god of the Eldari has gotten more bloody noses than I even care to count. And frankly, at this point, there are more named characters who have beaten the avatar in combat than those that haven't. I've gotten so used to seeing the words Avatar of Khaine next to a serious ass-whooping that the only time it didn't happen, I started scratching my head. It's in the book Choose Your Enemies, where we actually get to see an Avatar of Khaine do something other than getting embarrassingly stomped out by something or someone else. The Eldar pretty much ODST dropped the Avatar right onto a greater demon of Slaanesh, and I was so impressed by what I was reading, I achieved full cognitive dissonance from the fact that the one issuing the beating was in fact an Avatar.
Funny that it takes a book that has no references to certain Space Marine chapters to actually allow the Avatar to look good and be as threatening as it is.
I make fun of Abaddon the Disappointment for many of the same reasons I kind of feel sorry for the Avatar Khaine, and the difference is an easy one to display. Abaddon is hyped up to be this amazing leader, when the best thing he actually does is herd cats, while being at the center of the plot, while the Avatar Khaine is used solely as a plot point and nothing more. The Avatar is the job guy of the 40k universe, someone who shows up to get smoked, go home, and sit in a chair until someone else needs to look good. A figure that should be revered and respected, but ultimately is a massive disappointment.
Yep. It is really criminal, the treatment that the Avatar of Khaine gets. It's not just in a written lore, but even in games too, because oh boy, the way the Avatar gets its ass handed to it in the way the Avatar gets his ass handed to it even in the Dawn of War games, for example, is just something. It pretty much only ever shows up to lose, to make someone else look good. And yeah, whereas it's used as a plot point and gets its ass beat, at Abaddon gets the treatment of being, oh, they're supposed to be important and threatening and all that, but it's like, hey, we can't actually let Abaddon win, because if he wins, then no more 40k, because Chaos wins. So, you know, all those Black Crusades that pretty much accomplished nothing until GWK just came up and went, hey, Abaddon was secretly destroying all these Necron pylon fields to make sure the Necrons wouldn't be able to, you know, sever the warp from the Materium like they wanted to. And make it seem as if Abaddon had this big plan the entire time. And that they weren't just scrounging for ideas is for who knows how long. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching with me. I mean, definitely check out Old Man and PancreasNoWork if you aren't doing so already. And if you enjoyed, I'd appreciate if you like, comment, and subscribe. But until next time, ta-ta!